For this tutorial, you will need a size 4 worsted weight 100% cotton, a 1/2 inch swivel clasp with a D-ring attachment. I got these from Hobby Lobby. You're also going to need a 3.75mm hook, a stitch marker, and lip balm to check the size as you go. And of course you need a 4 or 6mm wooden bead or button. To begin, we're going to chain 2. In the second chain from the hook, we're going to make 6 single crochet. Now you could realistically use a magic ring here, I just don't personally like using them. We are not going to join, we are simply going to continue working in the round. So in the first stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet, and then if you need to mark your first stitch, you can go ahead and do that. And then we're going to put 2 singles in every stitch around. So of course you should have 12 single crochet at the end of this round. And I do cut off the excess of this tail right here. If you are afraid of it coming undone, you're welcome to reinforce it around that first round, but I don't think this will come loose, so I just cut it to the quick. So once you have all 12 singles, this is what it should look like, and your piece should be slightly bigger than the bottom of your lip balm. Now we're going to use the invisible slip stitch to join, so I'm going to move this marker out of the way. Take your working yarn to the back of your work. Remove your hook from your working loop. Insert your hook from back to front into the very first stitch of the round. Grab your working loop onto your hook and pull it to the back. It's a little difficult to show you on such a small piece. Now you're just going to continue working as usual. So now we're going to chain 1 for round 3, and this entire round will be worked in the back loop only. We're just going to put 1 single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch around. And of course you should still just have 12 singles. Part of the reason I'm having so much trouble with this project on camera is I do tend to crochet fairly tightly for this project, and I don't normally, so it's a little more difficult to get my hook in these stitches. So stop and make sure you have 12 singles. Now we're going to work in the continuous round from here on out. We are just going to work through both loops of the rest of this piece. So you're going to single crochet through both loops in each stitch around, and because we're working in the continuous round, I do recommend using a stitch marker. Like I said, I am crocheting fairly tightly for this project, which makes it a little more challenging, but it makes the end result look a lot better. If you're already a tight crocheter, then you should be fine, but I am not normally a tight crocheter. So from here on out, it's really easy. You are just going to repeat the last round until the bottom of your piece meets the bottom of the lip balm cap. So my lip balm cap actually stops a little below this tan line because this is a seal. So right here is where my cap would end. So I'm going to continue just working in the continuous round, making one single crochet through both loops all the way till I get to the bottom of my cap, and I'll meet you there. So row count doesn't really matter here. You just want to make it as close to the bottom of your cap as possible. Now you're going to take your lip balm out and grab your swivel clasp. We are going to skip over that marked stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. We will be working into that slip stitch for the next row, so make sure you don't do it too tightly. Now for the first row of our flap, we're going to chain one and turn. You're going to grab your swivel clasp and put the D-ring portion behind your work, just like this. Now we're going to crochet through the stitches and the ring at the same time. So in that first slip stitch that I told you we were going to work into, and through the ring, you're going to make a single crochet. And then you're going to single crochet in the next two stitches as well, making sure you go through both the stitch and the D-ring. And it should look like this. Simple as that. Now we're just going to make rows. So rows 2 through 8, you're going to chain one and turn and put a single crochet in each stitch across. And again, you should just have 3 singles. So I didn't pause the camera or speed it up because it works so fast to do a total of 8 rows. So you're welcome to work with me or fast forward if you're faster than me. Just so long as you have 8 rows, and I am including the row where we joined our D-ring to our piece in that count. This is what it should look like. Now for row 9, we're going to chain one and turn. We're going to single crochet in the very first stitch, and then we're going to chain one and skip the next stitch and single crochet in the last stitch. So essentially that chain one space is going to be our buttonhole. So you might want to make it bigger if your button or your bead is larger than 4 millimeters, because I'll show you here. It should be about like that. So if you need more space, just go ahead and make yourself more space. Now we're going to chain one and turn, and this is going to be a round around the entire top part of the piece. Single crochet in the first stitch. In the chain one space, you're going to make one single crochet followed by a chain 2 and another single crochet. Make sure you don't make that chain 2 too tightly because we will be working into those stitches. And then single crochet into the last stitch. That's what it should look like. It should have like a nice little point there. Now we're just going to continue working down the rows of the flap. I did not chain one before I turned because I think it looks better. So you should have one single crochet in each row down the flap. And that includes this row here with the swivel clasp. It's a little tough. Now I'm going to continue working around the mouth of the cozy. So I'm just going to put a single crochet in each open stitch around the mouth. There should be 9 singles that are open. You don't want to crochet too tightly here because you need to be able to get the chapstick in and out of the cozy. And then again, you're just going to work back up the flap, working a single crochet in each row up the flap. So once you reach the end there, this is what it should look like. And we're going to do one more round. I think it just makes it look a lot better and helps hold its shape better. We are going to do a round of slip stitches all the way around. So you're going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first single crochet of the last row there. And then you're going to mark that stitch because you don't want to have any extra stitches for this round. It will look odd if you do. And then just start working all the way around just like we just did. And like I mentioned before, you are going to make a slip stitch in each of those chain stitches at the point. And if you crochet too tightly, it's going to be very challenging. And then I'm just going to keep working down each stitch around. I will mention that when you get to the mouth of the cozy, you really don't want to crochet too tightly when it comes to these slip stitches because otherwise you won't be able to get your lip balm inside the cozy. So really this is just to clean up the appearance and help it hold its shape because things like this tend to get stretched out, especially if you're using acrylic yarn, which I don't recommend, but you absolutely could use acrylic yarn for this. So if you need to go up a hook size so that you're not slip stitching too tight, then that's what I recommend because you want this to be functional. So once you have a slip stitch in every stitch around, you're going to leave yourself a long length of tail and cut your yarn. Then you're going to remove your hook from your working loop and take that stitch marker out. Put your hook under that stitch where that stitch marker was and grab the loop and pull it to the underside or the wrong side. You don't want to pull too tightly here. Then you're just going to take your tail through that working loop there. But again, you don't want to pull it too tightly or the front will look strange. I learned that the hard way. So we're going to set it aside for now, and then you're going to take your yarn and wrap about 3 fingers 4 times. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cut the excess off later. So just cut the bottoms to create tassel tails. Then you're going to have the wrong side of the flap facing you, and you're going to take one end of all 4 strands through the chain 2 space there. So I'm just using my hook to help guide the ends through, and again it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cut off the excess. Then you're going to just fold it in half, and then you're going to take the long tail that we ended with and weave it to that chain 2 space. And then just watch me very carefully. This is how I use this tail to secure the tassel. If you're an avid sewer, you may recognize this knot that I'm doing. And then you're just going to gently tug until it's secure. And then I just weave this tail into the tassel to hide. You could secure it with a knot and weave it in even better if you're worried about it coming loose. So now you're going to put your lip balm back in your cozy, and you're going to grab your button or your bead and then a needle and some yarn. And you're going to sew the bead onto the front center. And you do want it to be fairly snug so it doesn't come undone. And then I just take the tails back to the inside of the cozy and knot them off several times to secure. I don't weave these tails in because I doubt very seriously anybody's going to be looking inside. And then I just cut off the excess. Then you're going to put your lip balm into your cozy and button it closed. And then this is where I cut my tassel tails to the desired length. I usually do it to about the base. And then I usually treat it with fray check because this is going to get a lot of wear and tear. But once you do that, you are done. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.